Here we go. Star Citizen Live, the All Vehicles Q&A, starring Jared Huckabee and special guests. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live, our All Vehicles Q&A. I'm Jared. That's Ben. Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
Hi, Ben.
I'm Ben.
And that's John. Say hi, John.
Hello.
Ben, the only one who's brave enough not to blur out his background. Applaud.
Oh. Sorry.
No.
I've been having camera issues. It keeps flickering, so I'm trying to fix it. But...
No, probably. Neither John or I have any time or interest in cleaning up our rooms, so
it's just toys and children's stuff. So
I've never actually asked you what's in any of those things.
Mainly like just boxes of like kids' cars and stuff.
We're off to an excellent start. If you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take about an hour out of the end of our week and we go through the rubbish drawers of our guests. Where we take questions from you, the Star Citizen community, and put them directly to our developers. For the last... you're blurring it out. I didn't see it. It was all blurred, John. What was it?
It was a blurry box.
Oh, it's a blurry box.
It's a real life blur.
For the last 2.5 years, we've been doing it over Zoom. But soon... TM, maybe in Q4, once we're moved into the new office and everything, maybe we'll be able to return back to in-person stuff. I'm anxious. I'm ready to do it. So, this week's show celebrates Ship Showdown, which is our annual showcase of...
Nos está comentando, buenas a todos, chavales. Buenas César, buenas Iquisidor, buenas Reika, buenas Hop, buenas Horrari, buenas Barte, buenas Kasumen, buenas Fisher. Están hablando de la música de la canción de la Pisces. Están hablando también de que este Star Citizen Live es también para celebrar el comienzo, la arrancada del Ship Showdown.
And how it works. That's why we have a wonderful community team who does all that stuff. Then we get like a Sweet 16, and then you guys vote every day and narrow that down to a Final Four. And then the winners get nifty paints that our good friend Ben Curtis and his team have to create. And
it's been pretty good so far. Like every day, the art team have been just finding the stuff and retweeting it and looking at it, and yeah, there's been some good stuff so far.
Yeah. And pro tip: if you vote for ships that don't already have or that haven't already been converted to the paint system, you can force Ben Curtis and his team to convert them to the paint system.
Please don't.
Vote Gladiator.
Can I do a pitch now for which one's not to vote for?
So
as long as everyone votes for the mule, we're all good.
Yeah, Mule, Scorpius were good. PTV.
Yeah, the mule seems to be the current meme choice right now. Although there's a real strong pull for the Gray Cat PTV after our arena racetrack segment from a week and a half ago. Saw interest in the PTV just spike up after that. Honestly, it's as long as everybody's having fun and everybody's celebrating we've got to be nearing 200 ships and vehicles in Star Citizen at this point, if we haven't passed it already. It's all good by me. I did get really close to winning the internal bracket last year, though. Like I had the best bracket. Like I was winning every single round. I was good until the end, and I thought the character was going to pull out at the end. I thought the meme was only going to go so far. And I was wrong. I underestimated the community. Won't happen
against
again.
The internet.
Won't happen again. That's such a good bracket. All right. So, in our All Questions Q&A show, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can submit your questions with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. That's going to help us pull it out.
Me están hablando un poquito del auge del PTV, del vehículo este que después del circuito y tal ha salido a la palestra, la gente está bastante emocionada con él y está ganando las votaciones del Ship Showdown.
Full disclosure, every time we do one of these shows, the most common and recurring question is, what's the status of this? And what's the status of that? And can you give me an update on whatchamacallit? And we're not going to do any of those this week. Until the end. We're going to save them all and do them all at the end.
Dice que el estado de las cosas y tal, que siempre recibimos cosas de cómo está esto, cuánto va a salir esto, cuánto tal, que dice que no vamos a hacer nada de esto en esta sesión hasta el final del día, o sea, hasta el final del Star Citizen Live.
So with that, let's jump into the questions from the thread, and let's start with an oldie but a goodie here. Will landing gear ever become decoupled from wings? John Crew.
¿El landing gear estará desanclado de las alas?
Moments just because of a pure tech limitation that is quite low down the list of things to solve. Basically, they're all just skinned meshes and attached to the vehicle in one go, rather than three separate. However many landing gear you have, in the case of the Caterpillar.
Dice que sí que hay unas dificultades técnicas por resolver, pero que sí, eventualmente será independiente el landing gear de la colocación de las alas. Por ejemplo, el Saber, Hornet, etc.
It does look terrible.
Hornet no sé, pero el Saber por lo menos.
Case where you see behind the scenes of all the other things that we make landing gear to get around things working. So yes, do want to do it. There are some bits and pieces in the pipeline that may help us with this in the near term, but it's not like, hey, here's a block of time on the schedule. We're going to fix landing gear. It's going to be on this date. It's we're doing other things in the area. It might fix it. It might not fix it.
Is the landing gear on the Reliance still tied to its transformation? I know for a while it was.
Don't think so now. I know we did a bunch of work a while back to try and split it up, and very aware of the bug where people log back in and the ship's in the wrong state and then you can't get to the cockpit, and we're looking at
Está mirando también el tema de las Reliant, que sabéis que cuando la gente se reloguea y demás aparecen en vertical, y entonces la gente no puede entrar. Entonces como poner un botón o algo así para que se pueda transformar. Vamos a ver cómo lo resuelven.
Do you want to fly horizontal? It would have been cool. It'd be cool for like.
Pero vamos, que lo están revisando ese tema. Y también que dice que lo de los landing gear y demás, que eventualmente, que no va a ser todo de una tacada, sino que eventualmente lo irán haciendo poco a poco las naves.
Pillar, cargo doors, and lifts. Long-time backers of the project know that Caterpillar's big cargo doors are also supposed to function as lifts. Anything you can tell us about that?
This was actually something Tech Art were looking at the other day, seeing whether we can get somewhere with it. I could speak for hours about doors in video games.
Doors in our game.
Doors in Star Citizen. Anyone that's ever worked on video games knows how problematic doors are. They seem like they're a really simple thing, but they just go down a huge rabbit hole of questions and answers. And in Star Citizen, we essentially have three ways of doing doors or lifts or elevators, however we want to call them. We have a simple door, which is just basically an item that rotates between two states. You see it on all of our internal doors, simple back ramps. And as long as it goes between open and closed, that's good. We can't use that for the Caterpillar because it naturally has it has three states. It has open to horizontal, and then down to the ground. We have the elevator system, which is used on a lot of our ships for moving between floors and transitioning to the outside of a ship. That has some issues. If you've ever been on a 600...
Está diciendo que están preguntándole sobre el tema de la Caterpillar, de que se abran las compuertas hacia abajo, que funcionen como montacargas, y una vez se abran. Y está diciendo de que podríamos estar horas y horas hablando de los problemas que tiene hacer puertas en videojuegos y demás. Y dice que ahora mismo tienen varios sistemas para hacer puertas. Uno de ellos sería el anclaje típico de que vemos en una puerta, como por ejemplo una Atlas y demás. Eso no sirve para la Caterpillar porque tiene otro estadía. También dice que el tema de los elevadores en las naves, que como por ejemplo pues en la C2, pues tiene sus problemas.
Transit and the legacy elevator system can't do complex synchronized animations with them, which is what the Caterpillar needs. So the Caterpillar needs like the original door system, but expanded to have multi-state doors with complex linked animations because it can't use it. It's a fun problem to solve for what looks like a relatively simple thing. So we could change the animation to just go all the way down to the ground for all the doors, and that will fix one set of issues, and then people will ask like, why do I have to open the doors all the way every time? And you would likely run into the issues where because they will open all the way, the caterpillar is such a long nose, you're going to have a nicely flat surface along all those areas for those doors to not lift the entire ship up.
And sum up quickly, is it's a nightmare. Yes, we want to do it because it's cool.
Dice que es un problema divertido de resolver, pero que tiene bastantes cosas, por muy simple que parezca, que no es nada fácil hacer, porque tiene que convertir el sistema delegado de puertas a que tenga la complejidad para poder tener diferentes estados en los procesos de apertura. Dice que sí, que podríamos tomar la decisión de que simplemente las puertas de la Caterpillar se abran completamente hasta abajo, pero que necesitaríamos una superficie plana muy amplia para poder bajar la Caterpillar y abrir todas las puertas, y que luego la gente se quejaría en plan diciendo de ¿por qué tengo que abrir siempre todas las puertas hacia abajo, ¿no?
Behind the scenes, they are simultaneously one of the most complex things in games and two the most abused things in games to get things done. Right. Anything that moves in the game is probably a door.
And then number two is
in any video game.
Number two is elevators. It's like the number one problem is doors, the number two problem is elevators, and this thing with the Caterpillar is a combination of both.
Claro, dice que las dos cosas más complicadas en videojuegos son las puertas y los elevadores, y la Caterpillar es una combinación de las dos cosas.
So before
going back to the mule, Markin had a great shot with the mule loading up the Caterpillar. It looked amazing, and it's like, come on.
So before that answer sends people doom and gloom to Spectrum, you hopeful? I mean, I'm not saying tomorrow, but you feel like we'll get it?
Yeah, we'll absolutely get it.
Dice, preguntáis cuando hay esperanza para la Caterpillar antes de que la gente empiece a echar fuego en Spectrum, y dice que sí, que hay posibilidades, que hay esperanza.
It turns out it may not be as bad as we think it's going to be, but we'll see.
Next question. If you could go back and throttle the person that invented a combination door elevator for the Caterpillar, would you?
No, but I'll do them in a different way.
All right. Let's see. We're starting today's show, our all vehicles Q&A with some of our old
Dice, la siguiente pregunta es si pudierais tirar, si pudierais lanzar fuera al tipo que decidió que la Caterpillar podía tener la puerta, que se abriese la puerta y si bajase la puerta también, lo largaríais fuera. Y dice, no, pero lo haríamos de manera diferente.
A bottom-facing camera, something.
Yeah, if you've been playing Star Citizen a long time, you'll remember the old landing UI, which displayed a little version of your ship and then relative it to the landing pad. We absolutely want to have maybe not that exactly come back, but something approximate to that to give you that spatial context.
El tema de poder aterrizar y tener una virtualización del landing, una cámara y demás, dice que si aquellos que estuvieron jugando que llevan jugando tiempo al Star Citizen, si vieron que tienen intención de traer esa realidad aumentada otra vez al juego donde se vea la nave, no exactamente, pero quieren aproximarse a ese holograma simulado del landing.
Of different sizes for the same profession. Is the smaller one just a stepping stone, or will there be something that only small ships can do or fit in? Example, a high value area that only prospectors can access that may...
Tenemos diferentes tamaños de naves para diferentes profesiones. Realmente el tener una nave pequeña significa que tenemos que dar un paso más para naves grandes, hasta las naves grandes, o realmente va a haber tareas que solo una nave pequeña pueda realizar.
One answer, because it's not the same answer across all the different careers. Yes, some of them are like stepping stones, but they're not like the sole way of going up that career. For other ones, we see like it's not going to be like an entirely ship-based career. Like you may have a ship at one point, but then it may transition to a location based version of that. If you think refineries now, refinery is all done at stations, and in the future we'll have the expansion game, and people can do refinery now on the station. So is that the starter, or is the expanse the starter? It's sort of what you make of it. Obviously with station-based ones, you don't have as much flexibility as you will with the Expanse, and I'm sure in the future we'll have larger refinery ships. But also it's there to sort of gate the progression in some way. Like a lot of people, if you think of like most RTSs, you have like your tech tree of maybe not vehicles, but the buildings you can build or the troops you can make. And it's sort of similar to that in that we don't want you to go straight in at the top, ideally. We want you to build your way through it. But yeah, I'm just waffling now. But completely lost my train of thought because there was a car going outside banging down the road.
No, I think I get what you're saying. There is a progression. There is a progression intended in many instances, but at the same time, there are situations that we envision in this game that we're building where you might want 2 smaller things as opposed to 2 larger things. It's like that. So.
Claro, está hablando de que sí, que hay visionado lo que sería una progresión en lo que es la escala de las profesiones, que decías, evidentemente que va también acompañado del tamaño de las naves, pero que no hay es decir, no siempre lo más gordo va a ser lo mejor, sino que hay situaciones en las que quizás te convenga llevar 2 naves pequeñas. Están hablando, por ejemplo, del rol de lo que es ir a una refinería o, por ejemplo, tener una Expanse, o que incluso vaya a haber naves refineras más grandes. La idea es que con lo amplio dice que es el Star Citizen, que hay muchas maneras de jugar. De alguna manera quieren que dice que es... o sea, dicen que no es una cosa como podemos ver en otros juegos, que es en plan de tú empiezas desde cero y vas progresando hasta el top tier, sino que hay decisiones que tomar y que no hay un blanco-negro en este caso, sino que habrá situaciones en las que pues te convenga utilizar una Prospector en vez de una Orión, por ejemplo, ¿no? Así lo explican.
Stop you from doing stupid.
Sí que habrá naves, evidentemente, que sean de paso, pero habrá otras que no lo sean tanto. Yo creo que el mejor ejemplo para mí es una Caldas. Y la Caldas es una nave de paso, para mí no lo es. O sea, la Caldas tiene mucho más que ofrecer y tendrá mucho más que ofrecer siempre. Al final es una nave que se va a usar seguramente, ¿no?
Outlook thing that popped up right over your face for a second. Let's see what else we got from the chat here. Has there been any more progress on drones for the ships that use them? Carrack, Reclaimer, Vulcan.
¿Algún progreso en las naves que van a usar drones? Carrack, Reclaimer.
Yes, sort of. The Apollo. Short answer, no. There's nothing.
También referencia al Apolo, dice lo que dice Juan Tripulación es que la respuesta corta es que no ha habido progreso. Y la respuesta larga es que hay múltiples escenarios en Squadron.
Missions that make use of them, so they are on the vehicle feature team schedule in the near future.
Dice que están en el calendario del equipo de vehículos en el futuro cercano para escenarios que hay en el Escuadrón 42 de actividades que usan estos drones.
Tom the Dog says, Jared Huckabee, are you happy in the UK? I am thrilled. I am happier and healthier than I've been in years. This was a long time coming. Just had to get around to doing it. And come next quarter, you're going to see the next big chapter of me in the UK. And that's all.
If you don't get run down by cars again.
If I don't get run down by a car again. I got hit by a car 2 weeks ago. That was a bit of a sidetrack there.
At least our cars are smaller over here, so they're not going to do quite as much damage. Like, yeah,
no,
it could have been
no. I looked at it. I'm like, a Skoda? What the hell?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna come after the king. Come in like like at least a Toyota or something. Come at me with a Skoda.
Now the time to mention I drive a Skoda.
Only for now until you get your eye on it.
I did. So they got written off the other week mysteriously.
Let's see. Let's go to one of the bigger topics here. We've gone quiet on modularity for a while. Are you having problems? What's going on?
Am I having problems in general, or am I having problems in modular?
¿Qué pasa con la modularidad? ¿Estáis teniendo problemas con ella?
We don't have time.
The
for it in
team that was
general.
going to the team that was going to work on it was the vehicle tech team. That those of you who pay attention to the roadmap updates will see they were rebranded and reformed to the Arena Commander feature team. So naturally, doing like core vehicle tech is not particularly part of their remit anymore. That transitioned to the vehicle feature team. So we had a look at what was planned to be done, and we had a lot of other things to do first. And around the same time as we were doing that, EUPU started working on Resource Network, which I think you briefly showed in ISC this week, last week. And you'll hear a lot more of that soon. And that is essentially quite a paradigm shift in how we set up the interiors of vehicles and environments and locations of everything. So any of the work that we would have done for the modularity from VTT or VFT, we probably could have like rushed it through, got it in now, and then we'd have to have redone it all anyway when Resource Network comes online. So
Bueno, están comentando el tema de la modularidad, básicamente que no están trabajando en nada porque el equipo del EUPU está haciendo movidas en network y tal, que va a cambiar la forma en la que se emplazan los objetos o los interiores de las naves y demás, y que simplemente están esperando para que esas tareas se terminen y luego se pondrán a ello. Aparte de que ha habido movimientos del equipo, el equipo que está dedicado a eso ha sido reestructurado como equipo de Arena Commander. Ya sabéis que Frostbite, el equipo que tenían contratado para hacer esas movidas, se han desentendido de ellos. Y bueno, pues en resumidas cuentas, es un TM. Es un TM para la modularidad.
Good at naming things here. Ships used to have freight units. Remember when ships had an FU number? We're really good at naming things.
Big FU numbers.
The resource management system is the foundation for the future of multi-crew gameplay. We first demonstrated a little bit of it.
Claro, también están haciendo el tema de manejo, están hablando del manejo de recursos, del resource systems, es decir, lo que vimos lo que vimos que anunciaron en la Hammerhead con el tema de los relays y demás. Entonces también tienen que darle caña, supongo, para poner el tema de la modularidad y demás.
You could probably guess. I'm not allowed to tell you, so I'm not going to say it. But if you thought really hard about where you might see it in the next couple months, you could probably guess. And it really is the beginning of where, for me anyway, the dream of Star Citizen starts really.
Acaba de decir Discolando que huele a que vamos a ver la administración de recursos de la nave, que la vamos a ver en la CitizenCon. Lo acaba de soltar así en plan de... se le acaba de caer.
Run through the ship and repair stuff and stuff like that. And that's what resource management is the foundation to getting us towards.
Ha dicho, si pensáis muy fuerte y cerráis los ojos y imagináis dónde lo vais a poder ver, quizás dentro de 2 meses... O sea, la CitizenCon.
So like the same principles of like item ports and pipes, but it's just like turbo.
So
yeah, it's like I think everyone that's seen it, because we've been looked into it, starting to tickle away at some of the changes we need to make, and I think everyone's super excited about it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. Remember, we'll see if I don't get in trouble for this little diatribe here. Remember Chris's letter from the chairman earlier this year. Our annual event that we do in October is not going to be the same as it is. There's not going to be a big keynote or a demo every year. Everybody's focused on PES and 318 and server meshing and getting and getting this most important year of Star Citizen development yet, done. So it'll be a much smaller thing, but within the smaller thing, I think you can look forward to resource management. That's
Claro, dice que, recordando la carta de Chris Roberts, que esta CitizenCon no va a tener keynote ni va a tener una gran presentación como otras, pero habrá una cosa más pequeña, pero dentro de esa cosa pequeña tendremos, seguramente tendremos el manejo de recursos de las naves. y que dice que todos están bastante entusiasmados sobre el tema.
Use it internally as well.
No.
That's the other fun thing. We think we fixed it, and then it'll go on PTU, and we won't see it for days, and then there'll be one person who has it 100% of the time, all the time, every time. And like,
Vamos, que están a full con el tema de sacar la 318.
So while we're on the topic of things people have been waiting around for a while for, like the modularity, let's talk about the larger capital ships, the Idris, the Polaris, stuff like that. This isn't going to be a status update because there isn't a status update. The question is, what is needed tech and resource-wise before we can start adding larger capital ships like the Polaris or the...
¿Qué se necesitaría para poder añadir grandes naves capitales como la Iris y la Polaris?
there's a bunch of optimization work. Naturally, ships of that size, they have a cost to them, and as they are, like Idris and Javelin specifically, they are going into squadron first and being adjusted to squadron's needs, where they can be a bit more generous with performance than Star Citizen can. So aside from that, we're obviously somewhat at the mercy of those teams. We don't want to have the PU Idris and the Squadron Idris. Just to use a wild example that is not true. Say Squadron want to make the Idris 50 meters longer for whatever reason. We then have to take that on the PU side. So we want to be absolutely sure nothing else is changing on those ships before we bring them into players' hands. Because otherwise it's a...
Claro, está diciendo en el caso de la Iris y en el caso de la Javelin, aparte que necesitamos un montón de optimización. En ese caso concreto, esas naves no saldrán hasta que Escuadrón 42 esté terminado para adaptarse a las necesidades de Escuadrón 42. Imaginemos que de repente, pues esas naves tengan que ser rehechas porque se necesita aumentar el tamaño para Escuadrón y que haya una nave de Escuadrón diferente de la del PU y que sería un desgaste de recursos. Entonces, hasta que estén absolutamente seguros, no van a meter esas naves al verso. Hasta que esté finalizado el escuadrón no van a meter esas naves al verso.
Board a ship like that, because that gives you all that engineer gameplay that everyone loves. Then there's like other supplementary systems that really gel. Like we have docking in game. Docking is like we have refueling. Refueling is like an advancement on the docking system that we put in game. Player-controlled ATC is a refinement on top of refueling, and you need that for like the Idris and Javelin for controlling, bringing ships in. And we want to put these ships in game in players' hands when they bring a worthwhile, noticeable like gameplay to them. We don't want to just treat it as like a box ticking exercise. Go, hey, Idris is done. Shove it in game.
And I think also, like, these ships are a big investment of internal art and design resources and all the other teams that it takes to kind of make a ship. And like I say, if it's all that investment is going into just making a big empty experience, it's kind of not great.
But Ben, I'm reading in chat right now from Jengalath. He says the Idris has been done for 3 years. Hasn't it been done for 3 years?
I think he's lying.
That's what Jengalath in the chat says.
Because if it is done, then great, because we can just scratch off a massive amount of time in our schedule.
Yeah. No, it is not done.
No, it's not done. Like what we've shown of it, and there is areas of the ship that look great. It is not ready to go out.
Yeah. But as John was just saying, it's not just a question of whether even if it was geometry done, it's not a question of just the geometry being done. That's not all that is involved in making a ship of that size and that scale and that play type, viable for the game. So it's not enough.
And if everyone is happy with what they've seen in game so far and are classing that as done, then also that's cool, because that takes a lot of time off our schedule as well.
Yeah. All right, let's see, what else do we got from the...
Está diciendo de que la Iris no está terminada, que tiene algunas partes hechas, pero que para nada está terminada, y que aparte que la quieren sacar con controlador aéreo, ese tipo de naves con controlador aéreo, que no simplemente sean cajas que las sueltes y ya está, y venga, y pasa esto y pasa aquello, sino que realmente tengan vida dentro esas naves, o sea que es algo que va a llevar tiempo.
They need all these other gameplay systems, all these other features to go with them in order to make them something more. And somebody said I was bashing the Connie. I'm not bashing the Connie. I love the Connie. The Connie Phoenix is like my ship. So I was saying you don't want it to just be a big version of it. You want it to be more.
Exactly, 'cause it's got a hot tub.
Actually, it's more the aquariums than the hot tub, personally.
Claro, está diciendo Discord, no queremos que esas naves capitales simplemente sean una Connie grande. O sea, tiene que ser algo más que eso. Tienen que ofrecer otro tipo de jugabilidad.
This question is simply, what is the plan on getting the older concepts out the door in a reasonable time frame? Some of the 20...
¿Cuál es el plan para sacar los antiguos conceptos en una cantidad de tiempo razonable?
At the end of the day, comes down to priority and scope and resources. Which is fun, boring management stuff that I have to deal with on a daily basis. The vehicle team, and I think I've talked about this in the past, like we work to like a 18 to 24 month ahead of time schedule, and we get sort of fairly locked into that. A lot of the other teams in CIG are a lot more agile, so to speak, but we have quite a long lead time because these ships take a long time to make. And if there's any artists in chat, they will know that like chopping and changing on a weekly basis is just terrible for your concentration and getting into the zone of doing things. Like the worst thing we can do is go, hey, you're working on an Aegis ship for 3 weeks. Oh, by the way, now you're working on an Origin ship for 3 weeks. Oh, by the way, now you're working on a Drake ship for 3 weeks. So we like to, wherever we can, and there has been exceptions in the past, once we start a ship, we see it through to the end of release. And we don't tend to start ships now in production without fairly firm guarantees that the gameplay is going to come with them at the end. That was different way back in the past. We would just work on a ship.
Claro, está diciendo de que el tema de sacar naves en el pasado, trabajaban a medio tiempo en una nave y tal, y luego cambiaban de tarea y tal, y dice que eso es una locura para la concentración de los artistas, que da mal resultado, y que hasta que tengan garantías de alguna manera de que estén seguros de que una nave va a salir y con el gameplay que tenga, no van a empezar la producción. Para que una vez empiece, se termine. Lo cual me llama la atención. La Merchantman, ¿eso significa que puede que cuando se acabe tengamos las tiendas activas?
On Pyro, let's do farming or let's do science. And even if I could do that, that would still be like many, many months ago. Same for the Orion. The Orion, whilst it's a mining ship, is not planned to use the current mining system. It's going to use like a much larger scale version of it. So putting it in game now to try and mine the current space rocks we have, be like just trying to scoop up peas with a shovel or something equally bizarre. Again, it would not do the ship the justice it deserves, having waited that long.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we've gotten better. It would also be fair to say that we've taken a couple diversions every once in a while, and yep. Stuff like we embarked on an initiative to only develop ships that have relevant gameplay and stuff, and for the most part we've held to that with a couple minor hiccups every once in a while.
Claro, está diciendo, por ejemplo, la Orión no tendría sentido sacarla sin la escala de minería a la que está dedicada. O sea, va a ser muy distinta. Dice, el nivel de minería en el que se va a hacer en una Orión va a ser otro tier diferente a lo que podemos esperar una Prospector, una Mule, que no tendría sentido tampoco, aunque se le metiera al sistema actual de minería, ir a picar una piedra con eso.
Don't currently share paints. Is that intentional?
Kinda, as in,
yes, but no.
Yeah, it's not how we want to do it. It's just how we've got to do it at the moment with how the ballista is kind of set up, kind of technically on the art side. We will revisit the ballista when we can slot that in and allow it to take the additional paints on the Atlas platform, and then they will all be happy and shared.
Vale, el tema de las pinturas que le hicimos la pregunta, dice que las pinturas de baldista de la plataforma Atlas sí se van a compartir, que de momento es lo que hay, pero que sí que se van a compartir entre ellas.
Marketing, legal, fun loops of, whilst we do want to do that, we can't put that in writing at the
I just got us in trouble.
Website. Yeah.
Okay.
What did you do?
Just committed to something I wasn't supposed to.
Said nothing.
Yeah.
Are you still considering adding a second entry to the Star Runner?
Get rid of all those Jeffries tubes that Ben so loves. I think it'd be nice. Again, I don't know when we would do it, but there's space where we could sneak it in at some point.
Segunda entrada para la Mercury. Lo han dicho como que buscaremos el espacio para hacerlo. Sigue pensando que sigue siendo una buena opción.
Let's see. Can we have an update on what CIG intends to do with vehicle flare? We've had the option to customize the 300 series for quite some time. However, newer ships such as the Nomad have come pre-furnished. I don't know why they called that one out, but okay. What is the intended goal here? Thanks.
So intended goal, I guess from my point of view is we want players to be able to customize their ships to their heart's content. We kind of part of mine and Elwin kind of focus on what we want to kind of try and tick off the list this year is getting our customization plans fully developed and kind of committed to for what we want. I think we're in a little bit like when we come to do a release ship, you get a ship all done and you kind of start walking around it and looking at it and it's like, cool, it's great, it looks empty because there's no dressing in it. And then we start to dress it and then we get oh, this is cool, but we want players to be able to do this. And well, we can't, like, we're not quite at that point where we can support that fully yet. You'll notice on some of the more recent ships, we started to get a few freebies. When you get your ship, you get your bottle of beer in the fridge and some space snacks and keep you kind of tied over. But yeah, we do want to kind of allow much more customization of the interior of ships. It's just not fully we can't fully support it just yet, and we've kind of...
El tema de la personalización de las naves, como hacemos la 300, está hablando de eso, de que todavía no tenemos, todavía no podemos apoyar esa personalización todavía.
We're in a weird like middle ground of tech as well that will help us, like PES, persistent entity streaming, will in theory allow you to like grab anything, put it in your ship, and it will stay there till the end of time for that ship's life. So that will give you sort of a way to customize your ship, and it goes back to what Ben said. Maybe at that point we will start not bringing in ships with all this dressing and allow people to do it, or like you'll be able to buy all the cute fluffy bunnies to put in the core.
Vale, está diciendo con respecto a los adornos de las naves que con el PES te permitirá meter algo en la nave y que esté ahí hasta el fin de los tiempos, y que en vez de nosotros poner objetos como hay ahora, por ejemplo, que hay pues plantas o movidas en la Nomad, que el jugador podrá colocarlas y se quedarán ahí, y que como que podremos comprar eso en una tienda o algo así, ¿no?
In the back of the ship somewhere. So PES will help do that as well. Resource Network again will add a sort of level of interactivity to those things. The team working on that showed a nice little demo, I want to say Tuesday, but maybe it was last Tuesday, where it's really simple, but it shows the promise of it. So there's a desk lamp that you could pick up and move around, and depending on the power state of that room, it's sort of wirelessly connected into that room state. So your cool little custom desk lamp that could change color turns on and off depending on where it is in the ship. Like if that area of the ship had gone down power, it turns off. It's not like this nuclear powered desk lamp. So
dice que han estado haciendo una pequeña demo sobre probando el PES y tal con una lámpara, y decían que si la habitación de tu nave está sin energía, pues en esa habitación la lámpara no tendrá energía o cambiará de color, ese tipo de cosas.
That item as it stands will probably get changed to a different item, but behaves the same way and looks the same way to allow it to function with whatever the final system is.
And I think, when we have kind of experimented with this stuff so far, there's been a number of bugs where, you can drop a water bottle in your ship and it explodes, or, we had a rogue beer bottle that would cause lots of physics issues because it would never go to sleep. So yeah, there's a lot of things to work out. Forever rattling.
Hay muchas cosas que resolver, como físicas que hacen que tu nave explote y demás, y que no tenemos tiempo para dormir en plan de coña, pero...
What's happened to ship naming? Why aren't we seeing more?
¿Qué pasa con el nombre de las naves? ¿Por qué no vemos más?
I'll go first. So we rolled it out on limited ships at the time, and we learned a lot from it. Not just on like the content side, but also on the platform side of how to deal with like the waves of naming. But primarily on the content side, there was a lot of issues we thought would happen that did happen, and we don't have a good solution to them. Like, hey, I've named my ship a 4-letter word, and it's teeny tiny on screen, whereas someone who's named it 32 characters looks fine. Or it's on an area where there's no lights shining on it, or I put a paint on it and now I can't see it. So we decided with the platform team to stop like the public facing rollout of that until we figured out what's going on with it. But every ship that's been released since that time has the tech there to enable it, and you'll see it on you'll know if your ship supports it because you'll see serial numbers popping up on the ship in various places, because that uses the same system behind the scenes, but we have a lot more control over it because we know it's always going to be this amount of characters. So yeah, if you see a serial number on your ship, you're pretty safe in the knowledge that that ship is ready for ship naming when we solve the...
Claro, dice que están tratando de resolver las visuales y han decidido de parar eso, pero si nosotros vemos un número de serie en nuestra nave, significa que tiene la tecnología para poder nombrarla, pero hemos decidido que no aparezcan los nombres por los problemas que hay entre los caracteres, la visibilidad, las skins, o que no esté en una zona iluminada, o que la letra salga demasiado pequeña. Están tratando de resolver la visibilidad de los nombres. Bueno, tratando no. Cuando lo resuelvan, no que estén ahora, sino cuando lo resuelvan, cuando encuentren una solución, lo lanzarán.
The kind of the quality and the experience that the player gets to see.
Have you ever considered any food trucks?
I would love to do a noodle truck, space noodle van, space ice cream van.
Flying hot
Definitely.
Dog.
¿Habéis considerado algún camión de comida?
On the list of ideas we have internally that are somewhat on the this is a valid ship idea. Trust me, this list is, we could fill a book with the ideas that we've had internally and taken externally of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this ship was a thing? And
o sea, se refiere a un camión el típico camión que lo abren y pues es una churrería o movidas así.
And would have benefits. It's just finding a time and place for it.
And a manufacturer.
And a manufacturer.
Right.
Who would you want serving your burgers?
Can you...
Dice que sí, que les gustaría meterlo en el juego.
For however long and whatever, like, adds a food truck. Think of the press we'd get.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, if we had a food truck and a drink truck, then you'd probably need a waste truck as well. And
toilet truck.
What's a toilet truck, Ben?
It's just like...
Necesitarías también un camión de la basura y un camión baño.
On space.
Si queremos meter eso en el loop, tendríamos que hacer el loop entero de camión de la basura, camión váter, camión... Bueno.
Vehicles here. What are your thoughts on some kind of artillery ground vehicle?
Yeah, it's something that comes up quite a lot. It's something that I personally would want to have happen. Again, coming back to the gameplay side of things, probably makes more sense when we have, and this is something, almost every time I see Chris in person in the UK office, he asks me when he's going to get his forward observer role for vehicles for relaying data from scanning targets. And that's the thing that would take an artillery truck from, I can point my gun in that direction and blindly fire, to an actual usable, hey, I've got my guy on a bike who's a scout spotting the round.
Dice, cada vez que veo a Chris me pregunta cuándo vamos a poder tener la posibilidad de tener un vehículo que fije objetivos o que janee, porque están hablando de tener un camión de artillería, un vehículo de artillería, para que pueda disparar ciegamente hacia un punto que se le indique. O sea que sí, que definitivamente lo vamos a tener.
Why can some ships light up an entire soccer stadium at night, but others can barely light 5 meters in front of them?
I think
Orlando se está partiendo. Esta
We-
pregunta la hice yo también.
things
Lo hicimos el
change
otro día.
over times. Tech
Different
changes.
teams do them at different times.
I think we've got to remember that there is ships that have been worked on a long time ago, and there's ships that have obviously we're putting out every few months, and we don't necessarily, or we haven't necessarily gone back and kind of unified all of that across the board. There is some exceptionally there's a wide range of lighting on some of our ships. What I can say is, we've got guidelines now that we've set in place, and we've had input from the lighting team to unify as much of this as we can. I think the other thing is with game development of game of our size, quite often things can be set one way and you think they're good, and you move on and you kind of you're 2 years down the line.
Hay una amplia variedad de luces. ¿Por qué algunas naves pueden iluminar un entrada de fútbol y otras apenas pueden iluminar 5 metros delante? Esa es la pregunta, ¿no? Y luego dice, debido a la amplitud del juego, a veces pues se están partiendo también, porque es que saben que... pero a veces pues piensas que algo sale bien y no sale tan bien. Y hay muchos tipos de iluminación de naves.
True. I think there was to follow up on Ben's point about people changing things in unexpected places. I'm sure years ago there was an issue where the graphics team changed something with like lights, and it broke a bunch of them, and a lot of the ships at the time used them exclusively. And I can't remember which way it made them go, but it either made them go really dim or really bright. So we went from like, you could have 2 ships that were released at the same time, and one used projector lights with a projector texture suddenly became wildly different to the other one. And there's also the forever battle between design and art over art want it to look nice and not blow out the visuals of the terrain, and design going, hey, we want this bright enough that I can fly at full speed in the middle of the night.
I'm pretty sure I remember at some point there was some non-arty people that went in and made some change, but then I guess I'm taking the art is more important route, whereas John's probably taking the no, you should be able to see where you're going route. So
doesn't matter.
Dice que también está el debate interno entre artistas y diseñadores, de que los diseñadores quieren que se vea bien y los artistas quieren que se vea cool y que no estropee el ambiente. Y que también que también ha habido temas en...
About ships made at different times and from different eras and stuff. Here's a question that's thematically appropriate. Realistically, will there be a lot of work involved getting the older ships up to standard in terms of newer design practice?
El tema está en que decían el tema de las luces, que bueno, que han aplicado una tecnología del equipo de luces y demás, y que hay algunas luces que son de proyección y otras que no, y que no se acuerda qué naves tienen y qué naves no, porque al final son muchas naves, mucha gente trabajando en ellas. Y que dice Discolanda al final, bueno, no importa, todo será resuelto con la visión nocturna.
Life metrics were established for what we thought was all of the ship items we would require, and from that point we made sure that they were accommodated into the ships we were designing. It's sometimes impossible to have like a crystal ball though and see that far into the future. If we take the resource network stuff that's going on at the moment, that's a great example of we knew we needed an item in there. We thought we would need.
Efectivamente, Reu, hay naves que no pasan la ITV, tío.
For now that feature is starting to be developed, and design documents are being written, and people are starting to actually develop and play test and see what it's like. We realized that actually it wasn't going to be particularly fun. Or the feature team working on it realized it wasn't going to be particularly fun. So from their point of view, like, oh yeah, it'd be great if we could add this and add that, for especially on like our larger multi-crew ships. Like I say, it's a core element of what Star Citizen is this multi-crew kind of gameplay. And I think we there's certain things that you can kind of just go, actually, yeah, do you know what? It's a little bit of a compromise, but we're happy with this for the amount of time it would take. But in this case, personally, I would much rather make it fun and make it good, and if it means that we need to put a little bit more time into doing it, I think that's fine. In general, we're lucky that a lot of our larger ships have some space, like we've allocated space for them, and there's if we've got something that's you know, hammerhead sized or whatever, and we need to go in and add some additional items that are relatively small and can be swapped out, and the player can kind of carry them. That's not too much of an issue. It becomes more of an issue when we've got a ship that's right at the limit of its kind of size class. And so we want to take the power plants from the back and move them to the front because we want to add a bit more kind of excitement.
Están hablando del tema del trabajo de traer las naves a gol estándar. Y dice que, por ejemplo, en una Hammerhead tienen el espacio suficiente para poder mover las piezas, que no tienen problema. El problema viene cuando tienen naves que son más ajustadas a su tamaño, que están en su límite de tamaño de clase de nave, ¿no? Y que ahí es donde tienen problemas a la hora de que no simplemente, que es mucho más difícil que un simple cambio, ¿no? El trabajar en esas naves para modernizarlas, para traerlas a la época gol estándar.
Starts kind of really impacting the exterior of the ships and the size of the ships. It just causes a lot of headaches.
Claro, dice que si cambian un componente en la planta de potencia y tal, y eso empieza a afectar a lo que es el exterior de las naves o el tamaño, realmente causa verdaderos quebraderos de cabeza.
Finite amount of time, and we want to make sure we spend that time wisely. And I think we focus it on stuff that's going to kind of really improve the fun of a feature. I'm rambling.
So to give a good example of how things change over the years, as soon as we're aware of a gameplay feature coming in that affects the ships, we work with that team to try and mitigate any knock-ons for us. But sometimes things are just wildly out of our control. So the example is probably 5 years ago, we used to have a radar item on a ship, and we made the metric for it, and it was basically a cube. At some point after that was decided, another team was like, hey, no, we're not going to have a radar item. We're going to have a radar and a scanner item. And I'm like, well, we just spent all this time carving out this space in all the ships. So sure, we can do that. But what we'll do is we'll carve that metric in half. And then you have these oblong or rectagonal, that's a new word, rectangular boxes, one for the radar, one for the scanner. And then relatively recently, that team has gone, actually, we're just going to have the radar now. We're not going to need a scanner. I was like, oh, fine. We've got all these spaces now that have no use. And handily, the resource network came along and go, hey guys, we need a space on every ship to put at least one relay. I'm like, have I got the space just for you to put these relays in? So sometimes...
Hostia, dice, hace un tiempo y tal nos dijeron, bueno, tenemos que meter radar y escáner en las naves. Y dice, guay, nos tuvimos que romper la cabeza y decimos, bueno, pues decidimos venir con una forma rectangular para poner las piezas y poner dos. Y de repente el equipo dijo, no, solo vamos a necesitar el radar. Y Hunter, ¿en serio? Después de todo el trabajo y tal. Y luego pues vino el equipo de administración de energía y dice, bueno, pues necesitamos que cada nave al menos tenga un relay. ¿En serio? Pues aquí tenemos tu espacio para el relay. Y así funciona el desarrollo de Star Citizen a veces, chavales.
At the end, will ships with docking collars on top, such as the Constellation, be reworked in the future? Or will there be a way to use these? I don't see how we can reach them.
Just got to believe. Ideally, we'd have them all on the side. And I think as we go through the gold standards on a lot of ships, you'll see that happen. But if for some reason we can't, and they're on the top or they're on the bottom, then the maybe not per room, but per sector of the ship, gravity control will help you in that instance, and that you will be able to turn off gravity for that area, and then you can just out the.
See, this is all like news to me, because I'm sure John said to me in the past that no, we've got to go on the side, and I'm like, oh god, all right, fair enough.
I don't want to give you the hope of.
Yeah, now you give me that hope, John. So every time I'm going to come to you and be like, no, just change gravity, it's fine. It's good.
And then you can answer to whoever asked that question and tell them why they can't use them.
Just jump.
Just be taller.
It wasn't an email. I got a Teams message. I'm in trouble. All right. We're at the end of the show, so let's do our big wrap up. Let's talk about let's update on some of the ships that folks.
El tema de qué pasa con las naves que tienen una compuerta de EVA, cómo vamos a poder acceder, pues desactivando la gravedad en esa zona y pudiendo estar en EVA en esas situaciones podría ser una solución.
I'll start with the whole sea. What can you tell us?
You gonna go?
Está en la Hulsi.
From my side, it's getting pretty close to being complete. We've spent we had to spend a bit of time bringing it up to kind of metric standard, and that ship was an example of what we were talking about earlier. How we would much rather finish a ship and put it out than have to kind of keep jumping on and off and on and off it. And that ship got parked a reasonable amount of time ago. When we came back to it, we realized that our standards have changed in terms of some of the way we approach things, and metrics were much more important than what they may have been. So there's been a decent amount of effort put into bringing it up to how we would expect it to be now. But it's getting pretty close. Got a couple of artists just finishing it off.
Está bastante cerca de completarse, trabajando las métricas y demás. Es un claro ejemplo del cambio que hemos hecho de decidir trabajar en esa nave hasta que se termine.
Oh,
No, that's it for whole sea questions.
Sorry,
I never know what Ben was going to
We
say.
don't got time. We got lots of ships to update.
El Ranger, la motillo.
Naturally blocked by the tech of two wheels. We did some work on vehicle feature team to scope out the work needed. Pitched it to Chris. I was like, hey, here's what it's going to take to do it, and here's the other things that we need to do in that time, and we're doing the other stuff. So it's
bloqueado por el tema de las ruedas, del sistema de ruedas que tiene, y no tenía prioridad en ese momento para continuarse después de llevarse la crisis sobre la mesa. Había otras cosas que hacer.
You get touch the ground.
Oh, sweet. We'll just do that then.
I hate to think of the rocks on a bike without roads, but anyway.
600i rework.
El recuerdo de las 600.
The concept totally complete for the 600i rework. Looks sweet. You mentioned a upcoming event that we can't talk about. It won't be shown there, but maybe I can twist Jared's arm to show a event after that upcoming event that we can talk about it at.
Quizás no puedan enseñarlo en la CitizenCon, pero después del evento de la CitizenCon puede que enseñen el progreso, que está bastante avanzada, la 600 sí.
About the Polaris, look at the earlier questions about multi-crew and what's necessary for the big capital ships. Is there anything more you can add on the Polaris other than it needs all those other multi-crew systems first?
Same as the 600i, had a full reconcept pass. Again, maybe we'll show that in a upcoming event.
Okay, but like we discussed with all the
nothing.
Stuff,
There are no artists or designers actively putting it into production. Both the 600i rework and the Polaris are purely concept redone at this point.
Okay. Folks asking about the Apollo. Is the Apollo
La Polaris de momento es un puro concepto y que igual nos enseñan más después de la CitizenCon.
on the roadmap at one point?
I know it's on the roadmap.
Okay.
It was going to start, and we are. So the team that would work on it, which is the US vehicle team, they're finishing off the Corsair at the moment, and we have a few options of what they will go on to next. The Apollo is one of them. I'm not promising that it will stay being the Apollo. It might be something else, but you will see that change on the roadmap when that's decided.
Después de que la gente acabe de trabajar en la Corsair, puede que ese equipo se dirija hacia el Apolo a trabajar en el Apolo, pero no sabemos todavía.
Trying to remember every ship that we've shown that's actually in pipeline. Retaliator rework we showed a while back.
Yeah, so the again the Retaliator, we did a decent amount of work on that, getting the interior up to kind of scratch, just making sure that corridors were wide enough and ship items fit where they needed to fit. Doors could fit AI carrying things through and all that sort of fun stuff. This is the one that we moved the dock and collar to the side on the interior. Unfortunately, we had to shift around some kind of some resources internally, so we paused it. So
El reward de la Retaliator está al 90% hecho, pero el exterior te queda todavía trabajo y ahora mismo es una nave que está en pausa porque han tenido que redirigir al equipo que está trabajando en ella otras cosas.
That docking collar being on the side rather than top and bottom and the bigger lift.
Yeah, luckily that ship, we did have space to do all the changes we need to and not make it any bigger, which was great, because it's a very beautiful ship. It's just John told me how to move the docking collar. Now I'm learning I might not have to.
For the Corsair and the Banner Merchantman, I'm going to say that you'll see updates on those in the other show that we do or somewhere else maybe in the coming months.
La Corsair y la Merchantman vamos a ver actualizaciones en los shows que hacemos.
That's not a secret for some big event or something that we haven't touched on.
I get confused as to what is and isn't a secret, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
The danger segment.
The SRV.
No, I think
the SRV. We showed an update on the SRV and
SRV's trucking along. I saw a question go flying up chat about the Crucible. That absolutely will get a concept rework, like from scratch. It will still look like your favorite flying space crab, but it will have some changes to account for all the changes that have happened with the game and the mechanics since then.
Yeah. In general, folks, this is my opportunity to remind you all to take a look at the public roadmap, not just the release view, but the progress tracker part of it. That is your best estimate about what ships are actively in development. The only secrets that are hidden from that are the ones that you don't even know exist yet. Upcoming concepts and stuff like that. So if you don't see your favorite ship on the progress tracker, chances are it's not an oversight. It means it's not in active development. So you can take from that how to manage the wins.
I love the fact that everyone in chat is asking for a different update on a different ship as well. So it kind of proves how hard the decision of prioritizing which ones we work on next becomes.
And there's a lot of Chads in chat that were asking for the Genesis Starliner on my behalf, but I'm not even going to do it.
It's going to be your retirement present.
It'll be when its time comes. I've said this before. I will continue to say it again. This team gets better with every single ship they make. So for me, who loves the Genesis Starliner, they can take as long as they need because it just means it'll be better and better.
El tema de largos RV, que van a hacer un rework entero y que se van a adaptar a las nuevas tecnologías que están implementando en el juego. Aparte está hablando de...
Thank you, John and Ben, for taking your time to hang out with us this week. Remember, Ship Showdown is ongoing now. There's a bunch of social media stuff going on where you can help influence which ships make the Sweet 16. I think that's what they call it. I'm not a sports person. So check that out on the robertsspaceindustries.com website for all the details and the rules and stuff like that. And remember to vote for which ones make it to the Final Four and get sweet new Ship Showdown paints. The paints have also been improving, so I haven't seen this year's one, but I
don't know what the ship is yet, Jared, so I can't do anything with it.
Oh yeah,
so,
okay, fine.
Yeah,
make sure it's the you.
Yep. And I think we're gonna raid somebody. Jake, are we gonna raid something? You're setting that up, right? Because I don't even have the buttons for that stuff. So yeah. So take care, everybody. We'll be back next week on ISC. I can't even remember what the topics are right now. But it'll be another week. Oh, remember, ISC is a whole quarter long. It's 10 episodes every quarter, leading up to every patch. Two stories in every episode. So when you're like, where's this, and I want to see this, and I want to hear about this, remember, we got to fill that whole thing, and the stuff that you most anticipated usually comes towards the end. So keep that in mind. Love you all. Take care. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Did I just say I love everybody?
You did.
Yeah.
You think?
¡Lol! ¡Justo se levanta el fulano del raid!
What the fuck? Hello there, Sausage. Jesus Christ, so many people. Where's the raid message though? Why is it broken? No! Hey there. Hey guys. Oh god. So many people. Hello there. So, oh gosh. I don't think I can read out of all of those followers. Oh god, but plenty of them, so thank you very much.
Hostia.
Hello
tío.
there.
Hello there. To introduce myself, I'm Mario. I'm a former aerospace
Soy un ingeniero aeroespacial y todo. Bueno, a ver. El tema. Lo que han comentado al final. A ver si me acuerdo. Sí, que para hacer el seguimiento de las naves que queremos, lo mejor que podemos hacer es mirar el Progress Tracker y el roadmap y todo eso. Y luego que el ISC de la semana que viene, que no se acuerda de que viene y nos ha dicho buenas noches a todo el mundo a golpe de las 6 de la tarde. Jodido Discolando. También ha dicho que... bueno, sabéis que a Discolando lo atropelló hace un par de semanas un coche y tal. Y todavía se está recuperando, en verdad. O sea, pero bueno. Y también que el próximo show, lo comenté al principio, el próximo show espera que sea en vivo en las oficinas de Manchester. Y también comentó sobre la Genesis Starliner y que dice que no tiene ninguna prisa porque sabe que el equipo de Star Citizen cada vez cada nave que sacan la sacan mejor y que se tomen el tiempo que tengan que tomarse, que no hay prisa. A ver. A ver, la Tali hay que esperar al PES. Pero es que, vamos a ver. Es que a ver, yo creo, desde mi punto de vista, ¿eh? Desde mi punto de vista, me parece que hay. Me parece que hay. Suficientes naves en el juego. Y que lo que hace falta es cosas que hacer con las naves. O sea, realmente hay suficientes naves en el juego. Y las naves, pues, realmente lo que ellos tienen que buscar también de las que saquen es que sean un atractivo para mantener la financiación. Yo creo que la prioridad tiene que ser la pasta, tío, en las naves. La prioridad debe ser la pasta, el billete. Está claro, para mí, ¿eh? Para mí tienen que hacerlo así, tienen que sacar el billete. Y luego, lo que tienen que meter en el juego es mecánicas jugables. Entonces, cuando metan más mecánicas jugables y cuando una mecánica esté avanzada, es decir, ¿cuál sería la... Imaginaros, por poner un ejemplo. ¿Cuál sería la diferencia en ventas de una 400i que en su momento, bueno, pues salió porque tal igual? Pero imaginaros la diferencia en ventas de esa nave si la mecánica de exploración estuviese en el juego. ¿Sabéis? O sea, pensadlo un poco, o sea, es puta locura. O sea, hasta la 315 va a vender cuando salga la exploración. ¿Sabes? Hasta la Mustang Beta va a vender otra vez cuando salga la exploración. Entonces el impacto que tienen las naves cuando estén las mecánicas va a ser bastante mayor. Desde luego. Y me gusta el sistema que tienen ahora planteado de sacar naves cuando... que las quieren llevar al final, ¿no? Que ya la mecánica esté implementada y todo esto. Porque al final realmente, o sea... Realmente, ¿para qué queremos una Merchantman si va a ser una nave de carga más? O sea, sí, la tienes y tal, y bueno, es lo que hay, pero realmente yo prefiero tener una Merchantman con la mecánica de venta. O de tienda, aunque sea algo cutre. Yo qué sé, pero algo, ¿sabes? O por ejemplo, ¿para qué sacar un Argos RV si va a ser una Reclaimer versión 2.0? ¿No? Al final es eso. O sea, en su momento se tomaron decisiones y bueno, pues el proyecto ha ido madurando. Pero yo creo que no tiene sentido sacar naves. Es decir, no tiene sentido sacar ciertas naves ahora. Totalmente, pero hace falta naves capitales de combate. Tenemos 890 y Merchantman en poco, pero no tenemos de combate. Tampoco es necesario. De momento tampoco es necesario, Jagger. Naves capitales de combate en la realidad es que no es necesario, tío. ¿A dónde coño vas con una Idris, tío, por ahí? Si te cargas de un Pepo o una Hammerhead. ¿Sabes? O es que no, es demasiado, tío. Es demasiado, o sea, una Idris son 35 personas, de tripulación. O sea, son 30 notarios, tío. Ahí metidos, ¿sabes? Muchísima peña. Bueno, por lo menos la Idris que están haciendo para el escuadrón tiene 35 tripulantes. O sea, es una puta locura. O sea, creo que realmente para 150 jugadores no tiene sentido meter una nave de esas características. Porque se quedaría sin jugabilidad. Los eventos tochos con una nave de esas características, como el de Town, estarían... o sea, no tendría sentido. O sea, ¿qué sentido tiene poner una nave que aterriza encima del Outpost y lo tape por completo, tío? Me refiero. ¿Qué cojones, tío? No tiene sentido, hombre. La gente que, mira, las personas que nos gusta el combate, yo te digo que se meten eso y lo chafan todo, tío. El juego no está preparado para absorber la cantidad de mandanga que necesita una nave de esas. No está preparado. O sea, iba a ser un aburrimiento. De esta manera tienes una limitación en los recursos tal como está el juego ahora mismo el Yantown está exquisito, tío. Porque no hay una nave que te dé supremacía. Y con una Idris lo haría. O sea, superioridad, me refiero. Con una Idris te daría superioridad. O sea, ¿qué haces contra una Idris? Eso es una salvajada. No, hombre, no. Que no, que no hay nada que hacer, tío. Pero que Railgun ni que nada, si está arma, si es un castillo todo lleno de torretas alrededor, si tiene un montón de torretas. Está rodeada por un montón de torretas, tío. Igualmente ninguna capital de combate va a salir pre-Escuadrón 42 porque salen allí. No sé si el Kraken saldrá en Escuadrón 42, la verdad. No lo sé. Aunque tendría sentido que si lo hicieran, la verdad. Aunque el Kraken no es una nave de combate propiamente dicha, es un carrier, ¿no? O sea, es otro rollo. Es una nave... O sea, no es de combate tal cual. O sea, comparado en su categoría no tiene... O sea, en su categoría no tiene las armas que tiene una Idris, por ejemplo. Pero es que, a ver, yo te lo digo, Jagger, porque yo he estado mucho tiempo jugando con Hammerhead. Hemos estado mucho tiempo jugando con Hammerhead. Y cuando éramos 50 players, la Hammerhead es que dominaba todo, tío. No te tosía a nadie. Y ahora que estamos con 150 jugadores, la Hammerhead cobra algo de sentido. Y está divertida de jugarse. Pero, pero si metes una Idris, va a pasar lo mismo que con la Hammerhead. Tendrás algún momento bueno de entre mil que te venga otra Idris, pero te aburres como una tostada, tío, como una ostra. Te aburres como una ostra. Sí, yo creo que es más escenario para una Perseus que Asurmen. De momento sí. O sea, yo no me- yo realmente hasta que lleguemos a los 600 players de Pyro, yo no metería una Kraken, por ejemplo. Porque es que si no te vas a aburrir. O sea, te vas a aburrir. Pues el otro día cuando íbamos con los del Hammer, bien que nos daban candela 4 cazas. Pero eso está mal, Jagger. Eso está mal, tío. Eso está mal, eso no es problema de la nave. Eso es problema del apuntado y de cómo... Eso está mal. Eso es otro tema, tío. O sea, la nave en sí funcionando como debe y las torretas funcionando como deben, un caza no se te puede acercar, tío. No te puede ni oler. Pero si te mantienes a 1200 de distancia, no te pegan las torretas. Cualquiera, ¿eh? A ver, hay varias cosas que tienen que salir. Hay varias. Oye, lo que sí, chavales, si me permitís, un segundito. Voy a dejar aquí el este procesando, ¿cómo se llama? Voy a dejar el este para subirlo al YouTube Yodanía.